when we made the submissions, let me be clear from onset that Parliament advertised for submissions to be made on the amendment of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which was a result of the resolution passed by ZANU-PF at their last conference. When the resolution was passed, the resolution had one item, which was the same item that was put on the resolution of the 2024 conference. That was the issue of exploring the issue of extending the presidential term. Those are the terms of reference of the resolutions as far as it was published.
Okay.
But the proposed amendments is a host of other amendments that therefore change the context of the resolution, and that changes the context with which the drafting team was assigned by the ZANU-PF resolution. And it was in that context that we sat as a group of retired senior military officers and war veterans who have also served in the public service, and we felt we had an obligation to have that corrected through our submission to Parliament. We haven't gotten a response yet, and we are not expecting one now. We hope that as the consultative process goes through, Parliament will consider our submission. It is important when we talk about the Constitution of Zimbabwe to understand that at independence, the Constitution that brought Zimbabwe was a British-induced constitution. It was not the will of the people of Zimbabwe. The people of Zimbabwe expected a Bush to office outcome, but the British cut it short by introducing the Lancaster House Constitution. Post-independence, in 1987, we had another negotiated constitution which brought together the ruling parties, ZANU-PF and PF-ZAP, the two arms that had fought the liberation struggle. Again, it was a negotiated constitution by leadership. So it took time up to 2012, before Zimbabweans could themselves come up with their constitution that they would call their own. So the 2013 constitution is the first, in my view, Zimbabwean constitution that has got the character of the people of Zimbabwe. The people of Zimbabwe, when they came up with the 2013 constitution, there are certain areas in the constitution where they were very clear that amending those areas required the people's consent, and the people's consent can be got through a referendum.
Understood.
Yes. So and ZANU-PF was very clear when it mandated the drafting team through its resolution number 1. It mandated the team to explore ways of extending the presidential term. And the team, in my view, went out of course by coming up with its host of resolutions and also deciding that a referendum was not required, because the Constitution is very clear. Chapter 4 of the Constitution is very clear. A referendum is required if there's any amendment to that chapter. I've been in ZANU-PF for well over half a century, and I believed in the principles for which ZANU-PF was created. And of late, ZANU-PF is a new crop of leaders that seem to believe that leadership can be bought using money. And we've recently seen co-options into the ZANU-PF Central Committee of people who are going in using money and buying of party officials' vehicles, and that is un-ZANU in my view. Post-2017, we thought the party was now mature to bring in new leaders, and the president seems to have opened up and co-opted unelected people, and it is coming from most of these unelected people that are beginning to change the principles of the party. In fact, the drafting team was supposed to come back to the party and present their draft. Even the members of the conference who are the ZANU-PF leadership, I think they chose an over-ambitious drafting team. Their drafting team usurped the powers of even the conference itself. The push to what I believe motivated the youth were sinister motives by a group of leaders surrounding the president. I think as a citizen, I have a right to air my views. And in Zimbabwe, every citizen has the right to air his or her views. I'm not at all afraid because I don't see any physical threat to me. My belief is that if the Constitution is undermined, Parliament as the legislative arm of government must protect it. Also, you will realize that in the draft, these opportunists have quickly moved to try and remove Section 212 of the Constitution, which mandates the defense forces to defend the Constitution. And I think that is a way of trying to manipulate the constitutional process. I don't want to believe that the defense forces are derelicting on their duty, but they are watching the process. And when ZANU-PF itself becomes a security threat, I want to believe they will advise accordingly. It cannot be often that the will of the people will be hijacked in this manner. But in this particular instance, the use of influence by unelected leaders within ZANU-PF became overwhelming, and it appears to be still overwhelming. But that can be curtailed if ZANU-PF goes back to its basic principles and it hands over the power to the people. It is, to me, I wouldn't say it's constitutional weakness. It is the opportunists using the opportunities around them to manipulate bad processes. First, let me say General Marshal has been a colleague for a long time and remains our colleague. Our differences in opinion may not be used to separate us. We are both ZANU-PF. The generals I consulted or who worked with me, who are working with me, are probably the same generals that General Mashinga has tried to refer to as the people that he works with, but had unfortunately not been consulted by him.
Okay.
Though his statements were unfortunate, I believe we still can find each other as ZANU cadres and work together. I have already alluded to opportunists not following the principles or the guidance they got from the resolution of the party, but trying to make a wholesale amendment of the Constitution. That is happening currently, and that is what we are opposed to, because these opportunists are now trying to create a wholesale amendment of the Constitution, which is not the assignment they were given by the party. I'm not against extending the president's term, neither am I for extending the president's term. My position is that whether we extend or we don't, we have to have the authority of the people as per the requirements of the current constitution. I'm not calling for a halt to the amendment process. I'm not in agreement with the current so-called consultative process. It is not encompassing the people at all. It is important that a referendum or any other form of consultation that will encompass the people is acceptable. I think there is more mischief to it by the people being tasked to spearhead the process of constitutional amendments. Then it has no legitimacy from the people, and it violates the standing constitution because the current constitution is still in effect. So the bill will, in my view, be out of errors the constitution, and it cannot proceed. It is my firm view that the people of Zimbabwe themselves will now stand for their own, and the people will stand and give direction to the party as well.